What is up, fight fans? You are ringside with Roy, and I want to talk to you today about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Yeah, that's a weird one. Why do you want to talk about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury when in less than 48 hours Anthony Joshua is walking into the biggest fight of his career? Yeah, I said it, the biggest fight of his career, and I'll tell you why I say that. And that should be the focus, not Tyson Fury. Okay, let's talk about it. So it's the biggest fight of his career because it's going to have the biggest number of eyeballs on the ring. I don't think he will have generated as much interest or as much visibility through his last two fights with Alexander Usyk, through his fight with Daniel Dubois, even his fight with Vladimir Klitschko, which was huge in the UK and did massive pay-per-view numbers. He's been in big stadium fights ever since, but he hasn't had the kind of mass appeal fight, I'd say, cross Atlantic. So he never fought Deontay Wilder in his prime. He never ended up fighting Big Baby Jarrell Miller. He fought Andy Ruiz, which was kind of early on in his career in 2019, and lost. And then he avenged the loss in Saudi Arabia. But he's not had that kind of big event. And I'd say with Tyson Fury, he's fought Ngannou, which was kind of a mass appeal fight. He's fought Alexander Usyk twice as well and lost the both times to him. But also kind of, he's a lot more well known in the US, I would say. And he's had fights over there kind of earlier on in his career as well. People will know Anthony Joshua as an Olympic gold medalist, but I think the bottom line is that fighting Jake Paul is the biggest fight of his career because it's on Netflix, and Jake Paul generates views. Like him, hate him, want to be in the ring yourself so you could be the one to knock him out because you find him so irritating. That could be, that could be it. But you have to admit, he's the one who's the cash cow. And I think it's his biggest fight of his. It's almost like the biggest challenge because it's harder to try and knock someone out in one round than it is to beat them over 8 rounds or beat them over the course of a fight. If you've got a time limit, then that's incredibly difficult. I used to watch the show on MTV, big shout out to Bully Beatdown, and it was, the premise was basically these professional MMA fighters, they would get kind of requested by these victims of bullying to go and challenge their bullies to a fight and say, you'll win $1,000 if you can, last 3 minutes in the cage with me. And I used to find it intriguing because a lot of the time the bullies would get beaten down very quickly and they wouldn't make the money. But it was so frustrating for the MMA fighter, for the professional, when he would come across a bully who would outlast. It didn't matter if he was getting his ass handed to him. It didn't matter if he looked terrible. It didn't matter if he got seriously hurt. If he made the challenge, if he kind of achieved the victory of 3 minutes of lasting, then it was a Pyrrhic victory for the MMA fighter, because he may have won, but it was at the cost of his ego. It was at the cost of his reputation. You couldn't get this novice out. And I think that's the case with Anthony Joshua. So it's the biggest fight from a challenge perspective because it's a completely different challenge. Any other time he's gone into the ring, whether it's for a belt, whether it's for a medal, whether it's for pride and ego, he's been able to do it on his terms. And this time it's not been the case. But why I think about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury is because it's the perfect setup. It's the absolute perfect entree to the main course, which is a super fight between two heavyweights who should have fought, a few years ago. But Anthony Joshua goes in and does whatever type of job on Jake Paul. He has captured the minds and the visibility, the eyeballs of the US market, and they can take those two and put them in a boxing ring anywhere in the world, and you've got basically a Pacquiao-Mayweather situation, which, from a boxing credibility standpoint, it'll have everybody happy because, it's a legitimate fight between two legitimate heavyweights who are both world champions. It's British boxing legacy kind of succumb to, the pressure of the public who finally want these guys to fight, and they're going to do it. And, I think it gets the two of them a massive payday and a chance to step away from the sport at the ultimate high, which is coming against credible opposition, because Anthony Joshua cannot retire after this fight, no matter what he does with Jake Paul, because that would be no way to leave the sport. Tyson Fury, you've obviously seen the video he did the other day with his wife and his kids in the car, where he had some serious criticism for Anthony Joshua, comments he made about killing people in the ring. He didn't like that, called him a big dosser. He threw his 2 cents into the mix, and because he's not the focal point, and I think, if you saw him at Ricky Hatton's funeral, he's wearing a suit, a custom suit with his face on it, not Ricky Hatton's face, which I think a lot of people thought was in bad taste, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that this has been a well thought out plan, and whether the fight itself is rigged or not, the project plan has been set a long time ago before this fight was announced. And that's what I honestly think. I think it's the catalyst for this big super heavyweight fight, or super fight at heavyweight. And I really do think, sorry, I'm just trying to change lanes here. Dangerous me talking to you guys while I'm driving, but anyway, both hands on the steering wheel. Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's an absolute setup job. We're not all mugs, because I think, if you're entertained, you're the winner at the end of the day. I think you're a winner if you've already got a Netflix subscription. Netflix, you should pay me, because the next is a plug for you. If you don't have a Netflix subscription, you should get one so you can watch the fight. But at the same time, if the fight sucks, you've still got some pretty good TV shows and movies on there that you can watch. And then there's also NFL that's coming up this weekend too, and there'll be loads of other fights and loads of other sporting events. So yeah, that's what I think. Like the video if you agree with me, dislike it if you do not, or if you just don't like it in general. I don't care. I just want to see what you think. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong. Subscribe to the channel, and with all my heart and love, I hope you enjoy the fight, and all the best. Enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers.